Attention business owners. Are you curious about buying commercial real estate instead of just leasing it? This allows you to control the space and basically pay yourself rent instead of paying millions to someone else over your entire career. That's what this video series is all about. It's a step-by-step guide to help business owners buy their own commercial real estate. So in this video, we're going to talk about due diligence. There's been a lot of videos prior that are all the things that you should do before going into contract. Due diligence is what you're going to do once you're in contract to buy the commercial building that you're so excited about. This is where you come in eyes wide open and make sure you do as much research as you possibly can to understand the building that you're buying so you don't have any unpleasant surprises after you close. Due diligence is a huge subject. There's a lot that goes into it. Your commercial real estate broker should have a great idea or a checklist of all the things that you need to look into. But at the end of the day, there are always other things that you can ask. There are always other things you can look into. Generally speaking, when you close on a building, you're going to find some things that you wish you had thought about or asked about earlier. Sometimes you just don't see things or you don't know to ask, and it is what it is. But at this point in your transaction, now is the time to really dig in on the due diligence and make sure you understand what you're buying. Generally speaking, in commercial real estate, you have a healthy due diligence period. Sometimes that's 15 days, sometimes that's 30 days, depends on the transaction. But essentially, you have, in essence, a free look to really dive into the building and understand the condition, whatever you're gonna have to do to repair. So this allows you to do all that investigation while you still control the right to buy, but you're not committed. Your deposit shouldn't be non-refundable at this point. Once again, it depends on your contract and what you negotiated. But your due diligence is kind of your free look and your chance to make sure you know what you're buying. So, this is such a massive topic. I'm probably going to have a whole nother video series on it just because this is extremely important. In this video, I'm just going to talk about the high level basics, a few things you really want to make sure you look for when you're in contract to buy a commercial building. Once again, these videos are focused for people that are going to buy a building to put their own business into. Some of these principles are the same if you're buying it as a pure investment, but we're focused here for business owners. So generally, you want to make sure that you have a general physical inspection. So you want to have a inspector or someone you really trust, a contractor, maybe your property manager, really as many sets of eyeballs as you can, go through the building and basically identify anything that's broken, anything that's not up to code, anything that you're going to have to repair. You want to know about all of that. What I tell my clients is if you have an inspector that comes through and you get a report, if that report doesn't freak you out a little bit, then you might want to think about another inspector because they should be identifying, every light switch that doesn't work, every, small aspect that's going to have to be fixed. Is everything in there a reason not to buy the building? Of course not. You have to take it all with a grain of salt and realize that if it's not a brand new building, there's going to be some things that have to be fixed. You just have to budget for that, and you just want to know that they're there. That's the key, is just to be informed. It's not necessarily, identify a million things and then ask the seller to fix all of them, or you can't buy it, you can't close. It's really so you know what you're buying and you're going in with your eyes wide open. So an inspector is going to do just kind of a general report. Property manager might be able to come in and help you give some ideas of things that need to be fixed. Your broker should probably identify a few things, but make sure you know what the repairs are going to be and things that you have to have repaired on day one and include that in your budget. You just want to know, let's say a roll-up door is broken and you're going to need that, as soon as you move in. Make sure you know what that's going to cost to fix. So you can take that inspection report and go to various contractors and say, hey, look, here's some photos and here's a description of what's wrong. Roughly, what is it going to cost for me to fix that? That's what's really great about those inspection reports, is it gives you something to take to contractors so you don't have to get them into the building to look at it. They can just look at the photos and give you kind of a rough idea of what it'll cost to repair. Secondly, it documents all the things that they find too. So that way, when you move in, you're like, man, I don't know if I knew that this toilet wasn't working. You can look back at your report and say, oh, there it is identified in the report. And, you can kind of know that at least you were informed before you bought. The big ticket items that we usually focus on in due diligence is the HVAC system and the roof. These are the two of the more expensive things and the things that are most likely to fail or be overlooked. It's so easy to get excited about the building and think about, oh, I'm going to paint it this color, or I'm going to do the flooring in here, I'm going to put a cool glass conference room. Like, that stuff is all fun, but really the nuts and bolts is you need to understand the building systems, and that is the HVAC and the roof especially. So, if your inspector feels comfortable doing HVAC and roof inspections, that's great. Sometimes it's worthwhile to get a roofer or an HVAC tech in there to give like a very specific look at both of these items. Replacing an HVAC system could be, $8,000 to $20,000 depending on the size of the system. So that's something you really want to keep an eye on. A roof can be extremely expensive, and the big thing with a roof and an HVAC is if you move in and it starts raining and it's leaking, you are not going to enjoy that. It's going to be something that's going to really bother you and your employees. If you have an HVAC system that doesn't heat or cool, that's going to be a massive problem too. So these are the sort of things that people don't think about. They move in and then they are really upset when they understand how much it costs to fix. So make sure you have good numbers of the conditions that those things are in. It depends on how well they're maintained, but generally speaking, HVACs and roofs should last, 15 to 25 years. That's not an absolute rule, and it depends on whether they've been kind of maintained quarterly and cleaned and someone's been coming in to fix them. But if you're looking at a building that is, let's say it's 25 years old and the HVAC and the roof are both original, that means that they got put in 25 years ago, that should be a big red flag that you potentially have two large building systems that you're going to have to replace in the near future, and you want to budget for that. Another thing that you're going to do basic in due diligence is if you're getting a loan, the lender is going to want to know that you're buying a piece of real estate, at a reasonable price, at a defensible price. If they're going to give you a loan, they're not going to want to give you a massive loan so you can buy a $2 million building that's only worth $1 million. The appraisal is really a way for the lender to confirm that what you're buying is a good asset. It's also a nice check for you as well. I mean, if you're in contract and the appraisal comes in significantly lower, that's something that you need to look into and be aware of and understand where that discrepancy came from. Of course, it's going to cause problems for your transaction as well, but we can talk about that later. So you want to make sure that you get an appraisal, and that's someone's usually going to be hired by the lender. You often pay for it. Lastly, there's going to be a phase one environmental. If you're buying something cash, you don't necessarily have to do that, but if you're getting a loan, most lenders are going to look for a phase one environmental inspection, and that's really just kind of looking at the history of the building and understanding if there's any environmental risks, or typically they're looking for, has there been like a dirtier use, like maybe like an automotive or a dry cleaner, or different businesses that are known to accidentally have stuff go on the ground and create like ongoing environmental issues. They're going to look at hazardous substances, all that sort of thing. So those are the three big components of due diligence. There's so much more to it, and I'm going to do an entire other video series on it, but you want to make sure that you get your physical inspector in there and really focus on the big ticket items, the building systems. You want to make sure that you have an appraiser come through. This is an unbiased third-party person who's going to tell you what they think the commercial building is worth. And then there's going to be a phase one environmental, which is going to come through and just determine if there's any hazardous substances or anything lingering from previous tenants or even neighboring tenants that could cause environmental issues down the line. So those are the major focuses. There's a lot more to it than that, but your commercial real estate broker should be able to help. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you got some value out of it. If you did, please hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. This series is really all about helping business owners make informed decisions about their commercial real estate. I hope you got something out of it. Feel free to contact us at Carlson O'Connell Commercial Real Estate if you ever need some help or if you'd like some guidance on buying a commercial building. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your week.